Likewise.
All right, so how much of this $3 trillion HEROES Act, that's the name of it, might pop up again later this year, say on Joe Biden's Democratic presidential platform? Well, let's discuss that scenario and the Michael Flynn case and FISA reform efforts. A busy night with a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Republican from Utah, Mike Lee. Senator, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Shannon.
Okay, so I want to put up on the screen a little bit of what's in the HEROES Act, digging through this. Banking support for marijuana-related businesses, people who are in the U.S. illegally qualify for checks, $50 million for investigating links between pollution and exposure and spread of COVID, $20 million for arts and humanities funding. But the Wall Street Journal has this warning tonight about this. It says Pelosi's presidential platform, it says this is Speaker Nancy Pelosi's agenda for 2021 when she expects that Democrats will run the entire government and she'll be the de facto president. If Republicans want to stop this, they'd better start educating voters that these are the election stakes if Democrats win in November. How worried are you about that, Senator?
Look, obviously, we're very worried about what they passed. It's not going to become law. We have to remember, Shannon, this is a stimulus bill, a $3 trillion wish list of progressive priorities, one that has absolutely no chance of passing in the Senate. Now, keep in mind, Shannon, the word cannabis appears more times in this bill than the word jobs. It contains a $1 trillion bailout for mismanaged states. It contains a huge tax cuts, a huge series of tax cuts for rich liberals in big spending Democratic states. It contains amnesty for illegal immigrants and gives illegal immigrants stimulus checks. So this is a complete non-starter.
Okay, so that's what we've been hearing, DOA in the Senate. Something else you all did get this week and something that you've been championing a lot, which is FISA reform, the ability of the government to spy on American citizens and the structure for how that can and cannot be done. Tell us about the amendment that you passed, because it's strange to see some people angry that the reform didn't go far enough and others who are angry that it went too far.
Well, look, I'm just happy that it passed. This was an historic week for the Senate. For the first time this year, the Senate debated and voted on and passed a major substantive amendment on the Senate floor. That's a victory in and of itself. Senator Pat Leahy and I secured a bipartisan 77-vote win for American privacy and for American civil liberties in the Constitution. Our amendment requires the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court judges to appoint a neutral third party to hold the FBI accountable. Mm-hmm. So no longer will FBI agents like Peter Strzok be able to lie to the FISA court with impunity. Now their applications to the court will have to go through a check by a third party can make sure that their applications are complete and they're accurate. Now, if this law had been in effect in 2016, the FBI would not likely have been able to investigate President Trump's campaign the way they did. So this is a big win, and 77 votes in the Senate is not bad.
No, I mean, getting that together on anything is really an accomplishment in a bipartisan fashion. I remember the very first time as a young lawyer that I kind of learned how this FISA thing worked, and the fact that they go in there, the government, regardless of who is running the White House or the FBI, can go in and make this argument without an opposing counsel there. And it went against everything I learned in law school about ex parte communications and making a case to the judge without the other party represented. So I think regardless of where you are on the ideological spectrum, you should be happy that protections are built in for every American. Meantime, because it's gotten so much attention this week because of Michael Flynn and all the things that we've learned, the unmasking, the transcripts, Molly Hemingway, though, saying this, that Republicans in the Senate need to do more. In her opinion, she says, memo to Mitch McConnell, you won't get judges if you don't hold resistance accountable for Russia hoax. She writes, if McConnell doesn't start demanding more be done to hold the resistance responsible for its damaging and dangerous Russia collusion hoax, his party will lose and he won't confirm another judge in his lifetime. What do you make of criticism from the right that there have been a lot of promises on the Hill and they think not enough action?
Yeah, look, it's a fair point that in order to continue confirming judges, in order to continue to have Republican nominees to confirm, whether to the courts or otherwise, we've got to hold the majority. And I think she makes a very fair point. And if we want to hold on to the majority, we've got to make sure that we show the American people we're following up on these devastating blows to the Republican form of constitutional government that we have. Look, we had people inside this administration, inside the government, who wanted to oppose the Trump administration from day one, who were threatening to take it down, threatening to invoke their insurance policy or whatever it was. We've got to hold hearings on these, and we've got to make sure that these people are held accountable and that we expose what's happened here. And more importantly, Shannon, make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Well, as a lawyer yourself, what do you make of Judge Sullivan? He is the judge overseeing the Michael Flynn case where the general is trying to withdraw his guilty plea. The DOJ has recommended the case be completely dismissed. What do you make of his decision to call in an outside judge, a retired federal judge, to argue against the DOJ's dismissal? And then he says he'll be able to make an informed decision.
Well, Shannon, first of all, it's strange given that Judge Sullivan in particular, I'm told, has on dozens of previous occasions rejected participation by amicus curiae or a friend of the court submissions. So it's strange that he would be seeking one out here. Secondly, I have never, I say this as a lawyer and as a former federal prosecutor, I've never seen a case that can proceed without a prosecutor. So when the prosecutors themselves in this case have said, we need to dismiss it, I don't know how it moves forward. It baffles reason to suggest in this case that he thinks somehow he can resurrect the case when it's deader than a doornail.
Well, we are standing by to see how it all plays out. Senator, good to see you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Same to you.